Welcome to the UnderMike show with Sam. We're back.
Let's go. I'm ready. I am ready. Got that first week out of the way.
Yeah.
You threw out a winner for everybody. No sweat at all.
No sweat. It's definitely good to be back. I mean, there's been 2 weeks here where I've been looking around at stuff. Summertime, there's not really typically a whole lot of action on the weather side other than storms that pop up, which are impossible to forecast. But yeah, we did have that last week. We had a late tweet out or X out, or what do they call it now?
Post. They just called a post, which is stupid.
A post? Okay.
It's a tweet to me still, and it's still Twitter to me, damn it.
All right. Yeah, I'm just going to exit. We posted it on X. What was it, maybe 5-10 minutes before the game. We hit the Dallas Giants under 44.5 with a 40 spot put up. So that was interesting to say the least, but definitely saw the weather effects on that one. Had some dumb stuff happen, but we still managed to hit that. So it's a good start.
And that's why as I start the scroll as well, you got to follow at UnderMike626 on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, because he'll throw those out there, depending on what's going on, and that way to jump on and get to play. Maybe instead of post, I made an exit. Yeah, I put
exit.
An exit.
I like it.
I just exited that out. Or I don't know. But definitely, as you see, I have Twitter /X. Follow at UnderMike626. You can follow me at the real SCAV, but you'll get not as much good stuff in terms of plays that pop up or weather changes. So good start to the season. 1-0. I'm going to quickly wrap up here. So last year, we're calling it 22-23, basically college, NFL, and if you're familiar, we did USFL and, of course, XFL. So you were 25-11 last year in a partial year because we didn't start until most of the way through the season, NFL and college. So 25-11 plus 12.9 units. Great year. And then I finished 22-23 at 30-22 with 10.65 units up. Another good year. And that caps our year. So the proof is in the pudding here. 23.55 units of profit last year. 55-33 overall record means we won 5 out of every 8 games, with obviously some plus bets in there that we had. So that's tremendous. And I'm looking forward to crushing this year and just seeing what we can run up and talking some weather and talking some stupidity exits.
Looked like we knew what we were doing last year, so see if we can keep it going, right?
We'll see if we can flip the coin correct again. I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
Wait, I got some picks. So so let's jump right into this week's college /NFL weather thoughts. If they're what if anything's going on out there.
Yeah, so of course we have an interesting topic this week. We do have a hurricane that's out there, a pretty big one, Hurricane Lee. I'm sure everyone has heard about for a while. That's making its turn right now to come up the East Coast. It's going to be creating some possible havoc it's looking like a possible landfall up in Maine, Canada area up there, but it looks like it is going to have some effects on Saturday's Florida State game at Boston College. That looks like the big one right now.
Okay. Would have been nice if we got this hurricane during the wildfires, right? Because the rain could have extinguished, the wildfire, maybe.
It might have, or the wind could have caused
blown it more.
Blow out to sea. I don't know exactly. There's been a lot of dumb shit this year in all facets of the world and life, but we try to keep this light and just think positive and but yeah, back to the hurricane. So Hurricane Lee. So for me, It's a tough one. I played a Hurricane last year. It's hard to really pinpoint when you're that far out. Hurricanes tend to have a mind of their own sometimes. There's a lot of factors that come into it with different weather systems and how they're going to affect the hurricane's path. This actually has been pretty consistent looking at the last, I don't know, 5 days with its forecast. I was kind of leaning on it being a little bit more out to sea than the current forecast. And it's actually, the latest models have it moving a little bit farther towards the coast and having more of effect on the game that I mentioned. So I didn't play this earlier. The total actually opened at 54.5, and it is down to 47.5 right now.
Okay.
We talked about it yesterday at 49.5. So I know you looked at this game as well, and the forecast, what they're saying right now in the current projected path of this storm, it looks like Boston area is going to be on the western side, but there is rain it's a pretty big storm. So there is rain forecast, there is wind forecast. Now, if the track shifts a little bit this way, there won't be as much. If it shifts a little bit this way, it's going to be more.
Yeah.
But right now, it looks like there's going to be
something.
Probably something. It looks like there's going to be in that 15 to 25 mile per hour wind sustained. Could be higher gusts, of course. There looks like there's going to be some rain. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I know you looked at the game a little bit, seeing that the total went from 54.5 to 47.5 already. What do you have any thoughts on it based on?
Yeah, I do. I don't play a ton of game totals other than the ones I just tail you on myself. Yeah. Sometimes I like to play team totals. For this one, the team totals I saw out there for Boston College, I'd be most interested in probably is 9.5 and 10.5. Some sites 9.5 with the over a little juice. Some sites 10.5 with the under a little juiced. Mm-hmm. Just not really interested that low of a number taking the team under. But I do have an angle I like here, and it's not even the weather. I think will help, but I'm actually gonna, and I'll put this up. I'm gonna make this my first pick of the year for me. So Boston College plus 26.5. And here's the thing. So Florida State has had this tremendous start, the best start they've had in a long time. They won big over LSU on their first game of the year. Last week was just they beat up on a hapless team, put up 60-some points. And now they go on the road to Boston College. And it's a little bit to me of a trap game because I think they're going to be looking forward to Clemson next week. That's a bigger game. And I think they're really going to want to crush Clemson because Clemson's been the dominant team in the ACC. And now Florida State, is likely to be favored in that spot. I think they're going to be thinking about Clemson. They're going to go up to Boston College in this shitty weather, and they're not going to care not as much, and they're not going to be as linked in. And that's why, for me, even without the weather, I kind of like this 26.5. With the weather, I like even better because, I think I always tend to think shitty weather tends to favor, bring more randomness into the game and tends to favor the underdog. So I'm making Boston College a play here, plus 26.5. I was worried to do the team under on Boston College, because then, they score something like 14, and you end up losing. They could lose the game 31-14, and you lose your bet. So I like this. I mean, you can still root for Boston College points, but it's possible that they cover without scoring a single point when you're getting 26.5. I just think Florida State's going to be a little bit vanilla this week on the road. And so once you were telling me more and more about the weather, I like this play even more. So that's my first pick of the year, Boston College plus 26.5. I actually have a couple other picks as well that are not weather related. I'm putting the first one up here on on my second pick, but the first of the two up on the big screen here. And it's the Ohio Bobcats. There's two options for lines, and we'll discuss, which one we're going to, I guess, count or take. but the one I'm putting up on the screen is FanDuel. So Ohio Bobcats plus 3.5, minus 120 on FanDuel. 3 is available as well at minus 110 on DraftKings. So pick your poison. For our record keeping, we're going to get the plus 3.5 and lay the minus 120. And here's one too where I just feel like it's one of those games when I was, doing my research earlier and I was looking at it that Iowa State is a Power 5 team. Ohio is a MAC team. Ohio's at home. Iowa State's coming off of a big rivalry game where they just got up to play Iowa. They didn't win the game. They lost 20-13. But I just don't think these teams are that when you hear Iowa State and Ohio, the reaction from the average person is going to be like, oh, Iowa State wins that game, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a tight spread game here. Ohio and MAC teams are always up to play Power 5 teams. Ohio is sound defensively. They've got their quarterback back that was injured last year, Nathan Rourke. I like them to cover this, and I possibly like them to win this game outright. I'm not completely sold on Iowa State this year. Iowa State's results this year, and I was just wanting to get the final exact. So their first game was Northern Iowa. Okay, congratulations, you beat Northern Iowa 30-9, and then they lost to Iowa 20-13 in a big rivalry game. I think they'll be, again, another spot where they're traveling to Ohio. They're not going to be into it as much. Ohio's definitely going to be into it. And I'll take the 3.5 points for sure here. And I wouldn't hate playing them straight up as well. Getting some plus money, but we'll stick with the spread there. So that's another one I like. And then finally, the third and final game I'm putting out this week. And again, it's going to be a FanDuel line, and I'm going to put exactly what I just saw it at, so everybody can get this. We'll post this, and everybody can get it, hopefully. It's going to be Miami of Ohio getting 14.5. So we're taking Ohio Bobcats and Miami, Ohio, plus 14.5 on FanDuel. And again, we'll make it what it is, the minus 115. So, everybody knows watching this, our record keeping is fair and meticulous, and we're not pulling over if we lose, not counting as minus 115. So this one is another, to me, example of just a MAC team not getting enough credit, especially, in this situation, you're getting 2 touchdowns. The 14.5 points. I did see a 14 out there as well. And again, it was minus 110. I'll definitely take the 14.5 at the extra $5. I know some people won't. That's your personal preference. Do whatever you like there. But so Miami, Ohio, they're not at home, but it's an in-state game against Cincinnati. They're at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's coming off a huge win. And this is kind of following what I've been saying. So even if they weren't coming off the win, it was a big game for them against Pitt, a game they got up for, and they beat Pitt. Now they come back and they play a Miami of Ohio team that I don't think they'll be as up for, and I just don't think Cincinnati is as good as the final score would indicate last week. Let's put it that way. So I think this is a good spot in a game that means more to Miami, Ohio, to take the 14.5. Cincinnati, and they've just switched around conference. This is their first year in the Big 12. So Big 12 team, technically now they're new against a MAC team. But if you look at it, I mean, they were just at Pitt. They were a 6.5 point underdog, or 7, depending on to Pitt. They beat Pitt by 6. So I think if this game would have went the other way, let's say Pitt wins by 6, well, around what the spread was, I think this game is Miami maybe plus 10. But I think there's a lot of just that last week, a little bit of overreaction to their win baked into this line right now of 14.5. So I'm going to take the 14.5. Do I think Miami, Ohio wins this game outright? No, I wouldn't probably say they win this game outright, but getting the 14.5, I like it. And again, Cincinnati, their schedule before the game was a big game, and then they have coming up after it, which is going to be probably a game they had circled for you. Oklahoma, the team everybody wants to beat in the Big 12. So you go Pitt, kind of a regional, biggish game, Miami, Ohio, Oklahoma. This is going to be the game to me that they lay down and take off. So those are my three plays, 3 dogs. The Boston College play, I liked a little bit before the weather, but once the weather got factored in, I know not everybody that plays for Florida State is from Florida, but do you think they want to come up to the Northeast and deal with a damn hurricane?
Well, I think they may be used to the hurricanes in Florida, but no.
Yeah, true.
But no, not like there's a lot of hurricanes that you're playing in anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough. I think if this forecast holds out, if it stays on track, I think it's going to be not the most pleasant game to play in, and I definitely like your thinking with that. I'm going to put a half a unit on the 47.5.
Okay.
If we did this a day or two ago, it would have been a full unit at probably 51. But yeah, it definitely, I think there was, again, I don't know. I just can't pull the trigger that early on a hurricane when it was at 52, 53 a few days ago. But
there's the pick, got it up on the board, half unit under the 47.5 in the Florida State game.
Yeah. I think it's going to be nasty enough where unless it moves significantly east, I think it's going to be nasty enough where there shouldn't be a ton of scoring. And I really like your pick with the Boston College. Do you happen to know what that opened at? That
I can tell you what it initially was at within like the week. One of the things I was going to ask you is I know, obviously we're recording this on Wednesday, but for the people out there, you could potentially have a weather play where if you hit it early, so to speak,
yes,
like this game, where I've seen you have it at under 56, it goes all the way down to 46, and you're like, well, now I'm going to play a little bit back, or I'm going to play the over because it's shifting. So people remember that and make sure, you have the at UnderMike 626 X Twitter handle, because that way you might be able to play both sides of it and be in a win-win type of situation, which I've seen.
And I do, exactly. And I do that more so as we get into the season when things gets colder out, when there's wind forecast. But the hurricanes, I don't do that with, just because there's so much variability in it. And in this case, it would have worked out. If you played this 4 days ago, it would have worked out like that, but it's not always going to work out like that. As the weather changes, we get into fall, we get some cooler weather, more weather systems, more wind. That's a little bit more predictable, and that's what I'll generally look for. I remember some of the cases as it got some very cold snaps, some wind. Some of the games last year, we had a big difference from when I bet it to where the total ended at. So we had that if you wanted to, like you mentioned, if you wanted to have that option at the end to take it or try to middle, even if it's big enough.
Depending upon the type of bettor you are too, you might be comfortable with, even if you're not saying, like you're saying, it could move or it could change. You might just say, well, I know the market's going to bet it down, even if it just looks like it's going to happen. So I'll play it now. And then once it drops down, I'll hedge my way out and just have myself a free middle.
Yeah.
So even if the market reacts to these potential storms, these potential hurricanes. So I did look that up for you. The first line I can see was September 10th. It opened Florida State 28 and 54.5. And then 10 hours later, it was Florida State 27.5 and 56.5. So it actually got bet up 2 points to 56.5. And then it got as high as Florida State 28.5, 56.5, and then it started dropping.
Yeah.
And like you said, we talked the other day, it was 49.5, and now as we sit, it's 47.5 and 26.5. So yeah, we're under that, or we're not at that 4 touchdown mark, but we're closer to the date of the event, and we're now pretty sure that yes, it could be real bad or it could be just a little bit, but there's going to be some type of effect, and that should help Boston College.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that play a lot.
So, yeah. Anything else? I'm trying to think. I have anything else?
Do you have any NFL you were looking at, or nothing? Really?
Not right now. I was focusing week 1. I was happy to get through my Survivor. I had the Commanders.
Yeah.
I just have 1 Survivor. I'm just concentrating on doing 1, not trying to. I feel like when I do 2 or 3, it's like I don't put as much effort and thought, and I'm trying to
I have 4.
Yeah, I did 1 this week. I might go against.
What? I said I'm in 3 of them still. I said I'm in 4. We're counting like a couple in the DraftKings. I had Minnesota on 1. I had Washington on 1. Baltimore.
31% in the one I'm in is out. 31%.
Yeah.
I think I'm going. This is crazy, but you got to plan for the year long. I think I'm going Giants. I think I'm fading Arizona again, and I'm taking the Giants. They can't be as bad as they were against the Cowboys. I mean, I hope not.
That was horrific.
Yeah. So if I see anything in NFL, like I'll let you know, or I'll tweet it out, or I'll have you tweet it out as an additional play for me. And same with you. If you see something coming in that makes sense, like you tweeted out a few minutes before the Sunday night game, and we'll
have to look at that. I mean, the Florida games looks like there's going to be a chance of storms, some showers, but you don't know where that stuff's going to form and how it's going to happen. So if anything would look good there, I will let you know. Other than that, it doesn't. There's a couple games with chance of showers, but yeah, nothing really.
Also, a heads up for everybody, as Mike already knows, I attend almost every Penn State home game, so the cell coverage is really spotty there, and sometimes it's tough to get a hold of anybody or even put a bet in if you want. But there was a game last year where I got inside the stadium and I was able to get in a bet for myself. Because once I got in the stadium, I was like, it's death in here. Like it's going to be impossible to score. Like it was cold, windy, type of situation. So if there's any of those, I'll try to reach out to UnderMike so he can tweet something out. But the cell coverage is crappy there. But hey, that's another possibility for our followers. If I'm in State College and I feel like something's rolling in, we'll roll with it.
Sounds good.
So I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. We'll try to do this weekly. If we can't do it for any reason, we'll have a couple posts or exits. I don't know. Exits. That's what we'll call them. But yeah, we'll try to keep up with this, and look forward to it. Another good year.
We will. Now that we got this one going, I got the juices back. I'm ready to go.
All right. I like it. Okay.
All right. So
we got